Hi, my name is David Carvajal, and I'm going to talk to you about an issue that affects motorcycle and scooter riders. And that issue is safety. Motorcycles and scooters are very convenient forms of transportation, especially for college students trying to get around in a small town. But accidents do happen. Our team has decided to pursue a solution that can help with the level of injury inflicted to motorcycle and scooter riders and hopefully prevent accidents. As gathered from our interviews and surveys, the most common piece of safety gear used by riders are helmets. Although they can be very helpful, a large percentage of riders choose not to use helmets, possibly out of inconvenience. So we believe if we can integrate our solution into a helmet, then we can incentivize riders to more consistently use this form of protection and use the added benefits of our modifications. So today I'm going to show you a virtual tour of our smart helmet prototype. Currently, our solution has 5 different features that will improve safety for motorcycle and scooter riders. These features include rapid deceleration warnings, weather safety precautions, poor road condition detection, post-accident emergency medical service assistance, and an optional startup lock. Our design will be very similar to any normal motorcycle helmet. The only difference is that it'll store the hardware needed to implement our other safety features. It'll still have a rigid protective exterior, a cushioned interior for neck support, and a regular adjustable helmet strap. But it'll also include internal compartments for the battery and other electronics, a microphone near the mouth in order to hear the voice commands needed to operate the prototype, and the digital heads-up display that'll be used to show the features. Based off of interviews and surveys we've conducted with motorcycle and scooter riders, we've targeted our features to handle some of the bigger issues that we were told about. The first one being the rapid deceleration warning. This feature will always be active in the background. If there are no issues with the distance from the rider to the vehicle in front, then no warnings will be given. But if the distance would be too close for the rider to come to a safe stop, the warning will appear in large letters on the top of the HUD. The second feature we implemented was weather safety precautions. It detects if the current weather becomes rain, snow, or any other hazardous weather condition for the rider. It can become more difficult for a motorcycle or scooter rider to operate their vehicle under these hazardous conditions. So the smart helmet will operate under weather mode, and it'll take into account how the weather conditions could affect operations of other features. So for example, it will take into account in the rapid deceleration warning that when it's raining, it could take a longer distance for the vehicle to come to a stop due to slick roads. It'll also have the option of pointing out a safe location for you to stop and wait out the weather. Another feature we want to implement is poor road condition detection. The most significant issue that we were told about when it came to operating motorcycles and scooters were large potholes in the ground, sometimes causing the vehicles to fall over, or gravel and dirt from construction sites spilling onto the road and making it harder for the wheels to gain traction, and several different issues when it came to roads that were poorly maintained. So, our poor road condition detection feature will display an alert of ongoing construction work in an approaching area, high levels of traffic, or roads that have a high rate of accident occurrence. Because motorcycle and scooters are smaller vehicles, it can be hard for regular car drivers to sometimes notice somebody operating a motorcycle. So it's best to avoid areas with high traffic where conditions might cause car drivers to not notice an oncoming motorcycle. Avoiding roads that have a high rate of accident occurrence, especially when it comes to motorcycles, could help avoid roads that are most likely filled with potholes, tight turns, and other hindrances that could lead to an accident. Although our other features target preventing accidents, we know that sometimes they will occur. That's why our fourth feature, the post-accident EMS assistance, is targeted at helping riders if an accident does occur. The smart helmet can contact 911 or a hospital. A warning countdown will be given, which upon reaching zero, emergency medical services will be contacted of the rider's location and need for urgent assistance. Our last feature is the startup lock, and although it's optional, it can be very helpful. Unless the rider buckles on and wears the helmet, giving an unlocking command, the motorcycle or scooter cannot be started up. This feature is aimed at incentivizing the use of the helmet and increasing the safety of the user anytime they decide to use their motorcycle or scooter. I've created a clickable model to show how the helmet would work. It'll show a demonstration of each of the features and how you could use the voice commands to control them. The first of the features is the rapid deceleration warning. So, this is an image of what the visor would look like if you were just on a regular road with no cars in front of you or cars at a good distance. I can click the voice commands that you would be able to speak and the microphone would pick up in a regular situation. Here the warning sign for the distance is clear because there are no cars in front of you. If this message is too much of a distraction, you can tell the helmet to minimize. It'll then change the message into a small icon that will be displayed at the top left of the visor. If you want to see the message again to the right, you could tell it to enlarge. You could give these enlarge and minimize commands for any of the features in order to change them from icons to messages. In the scenario where you are too close to a vehicle in front of you, this large warning will appear, telling you to reduce the speed. This is meant to get your attention because it could be dangerous for you to keep going at the current speed. Again, if this is too distracting, you could tell it to minimize. Since we know that these messages can be distracting and you may not want to be telling them to minimize or enlarge all the time, they'll automatically go away after a certain amount of time that you can set on your phone when you're not driving. This way you don't have to keep giving constant commands and it'll reduce the amount of distractions that you have on the road. Either way, showing it as a small icon takes up a very small amount of your field of vision and it can let you know certain warnings that would be very important. The second warning is the weather precautions. So this is a scenario where you might be riding your motorcycle and it starts to rain really heavily, even thunder. So the helmet would automatically pick up that it is raining and it'll give you the hazardous weather warning. It'll tell you to drive with caution and seek a shelter if that's what you want to do. So again, you could tell it to minimize in order to just appear as an icon, or you could also tell it to find the nearest stop. Here it'll show an arrow with the directions of the next place that you would turn to and the distance up to that place. If you tell it to minimize when you have told it to find you shelter, it'll keep giving you the directions but just in a smaller version. If you do not wish to find shelter to stop at anymore, you could always just tell it to cancel. The next feature is the poor condition roads feature. It'll give you a warning when it detects that you're on a route that would take you through unsafe roads that have high traffic or tight turns or lots of debris and potholes and other things of the sort. You could tell it to minimize. Again, every feature allows you to do this to reduce your distractions on the road, and you can also tell it to find you a safer route. This will keep your final destination in mind, but it'll also allow you to avoid all the roads that it has marked off as being unsafe. If you decide that you want to cancel the route or cancel the changing of directions, you could just tell it to cancel route. And in any scenario, you could minimize it and still maintain the directions that it gives you. The last feature is the EMS assistance when a crash is detected. If you fall off your vehicle or set off any other alarm that would tell the helmet that you've gotten into a crash, then it'll activate the feature to contact EMS. It'll give you a countdown that lets you know how long it has until it would give the call. You can give it several commands such as call now, which would mean that you automatically call them without going through the countdown. You could tell it to cancel call if it was just a small accident or you accidentally fell off your bike and you don't actually need for EMS to be notified. Then you could just tell it to cancel call and they will not be contacted. If this was an accident and you do decide that you want to call them again, you still have the option to say call now and it'll still alert them. If you decide to minimize this again, if you want to take a better look at the accident or anything like that while still allowing them to call, then you can minimize that. The benefit of having this countdown is that if you get into an accident where you're incapacitated or unconscious, the helmet will call emergency medical services and let them know of your location and that you've been in an accident and need urgent attention. This way, you won't have to make the call yourself if you're unable to, and you'll still get the help that you need. The last feature is the activation lock. In order to use your motorcycle, you have to put the helmet on and give it the unlocking command with a 4-digit PIN or whatever you decide to set as your password. This way, it'll incentivize you to always use your helmet when you ride your motorcycle. You could tell it to minimize, but it'll still stay locked until you put it on and give it the unlocking command, after which it'll be ready to go. So that was a demonstration of all the safety features our helmet could provide. The biggest issue that we see is possibly causing a distraction when the messages appear on the visor. But by having the ability to minimize messages and completely remove them, then you'll have the least amount of distractions possible while keeping all the benefits of the smart helmet. Although it's not possible for all of these messages to really appear at the same time, it's very unlikely that all the situations would line up. You can see that as icons on the side of the visor, even if all of them were on, it would take up a very small amount of the field of vision, and it would not be causing obstruction to the field of view. These safety features tackle individual scenarios that most commonly bother motorcycle and scooter riders. It'll prevent accidents and help even when accidents do occur. And it'll also incentivize the use of protective gear. Thank you.